Hi guys. A while back I was asked to make a video going over my favorite fruits and vegetables to grow. I broke it up into a two-part series. Today will be part 2. Part 1 was going over my favorite fruits to grow. If you haven't seen that and would like to take a look, I will link it in the description below. And part 2 is going to be my favorite vegetables to grow. Now, unfortunately, I don't have all of these vegetables growing right now just because they are out of season, but I have some footage I can put up to show you what everything looked like when it was growing. So let's get started. Number 1 on my favorite vegetables, beans, specifically pole beans. Now, they look a little rough right now, but the heat wave and then the storm we had didn't treat them very well. The green side, this side is green pole beans, Kentucky Wonder pole beans, and this side is purple pole beans, Blauhide pole beans, or Blauhilde. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but you can see purple beans versus green. Now, the reason I prefer pole beans over a bush bean, which is more of a French bean style, they are not flat like this. Let me see if I can find you a good one here. I harvested earlier, so there aren't too many full-size ones on here for me to show you. Here we go. So this isn't full size, but you can see it is much more flat than tube-like. The French bean style is more tube-like, and I think I have some purple ones I can show you of that. Okay, so nowhere near harvest ready, but this is more what you're gonna find at like the grocery store, canned and frozen. This is a style of, they call it French bean. Those predominantly grow only on bush bean plants, and I prefer pole bean plants simply because bush bean plants put off a large harvest all at once. They do most of their producing in one wave, and once that wave is done, the plant is done. So it's very seasonal. You get it for a short period of time, whereas pole beans consistently produce throughout the year. Well, throughout the growing season anyway. They may not put off as large of a harvest all at once, but they produce every day. That consistent production throughout the season makes them really low maintenance. You don't have to keep re-sowing in succession sowing to continue the harvest throughout the year. I like the taste of both of them, so I do grow bush beans and pole beans, but I like pole beans because it's kind of just set it and forget it. Don't be fooled that they don't produce as much in one flush as bush beans. They still produce a lot. I have about 10 plants going right now, and I'm harvesting between a half a pound and a pound of pole beans per day, and they're delicious. There are many different varieties. Like I said, I grow Kentucky Wonder and Blauhilde. They are stringless and delicious. And fun fact, purple beans turn green when they're cooked. Number 2 on my must-grow vegetables list are summer squash, zucchini, yellow crookneck, Patterson's white patty pan, and scallop squash, and everything in between. Unfortunately, my squash section is looking pretty tragic right now, so I don't have all the different types to show you, except for this kind of one little sad one that's trying to survive. This is a scallop squash or a patty pan squash. They're flat and round. Unfortunately, where I grow, we have some monstrous squash pests, and anything really in the cucurbit family. So they don't always look that great this time of year, but I do succession sow. So I do usually get a harvest throughout the year, but the storm we had really did a number on things. Everything was underwater, and just not all of it recovered. I'll put up some pictures so you can see the different varieties of squash that I've grown. I am partial to the summer squash family. I don't really grow any winter squash, pumpkins, acorn squash, butternut squash. I don't need the long storage stuff. I love summer squash. I love it for fresh eating. It is my favorite vegetable. It has so many uses. It's so multi-purpose. You can add it to almost anything, and it really just takes on the flavor of what it's in. I mean, one thing I love to do when I have a surplus and it's starting to get a little less than fresh, but not bad yet, just not great for fresh eating, summer squash bread, zucchini bread. You can use really any summer squash in zucchini bread. They all taste about the same. There's no remarkable differences. Some do have slightly thinner skin than others. Some are a little seedier than others. But for the most part, the overall taste when harvested at the ideal time is very similar. So I just grow multiple different varieties because I like the variety. I love the color, I love the different shapes, and some of them are a shape that is better for stuffing than others, whereas others are great for slicing and shredding. It's personal preference, but squash will always be in my garden, despite the challenges it comes with. And number 3, sweet potato. All of this is sweet potato vine. I do have it growing up a trellis along with some loofah, but that's not on this list today. I've actually got some poking out here. I love sweet potato, and I also dehydrate it for dog treats. So we use a lot of sweet potato in my family, and it's so easy to grow. It thrives on neglect. Once you get the slips started, which I have a video that you can check out if you're interested in starting your own sweet potato slips, you pretty much just put them in the ground and ignore them. They really don't take much water. They don't like a lot of water. You don't really fertilize them, because if you fertilize them, you're going to get a lot of foliage, a lot of leaves, but no root development, no sweet potatoes. And well, that's my kind of garden plant. Thrives on neglect. Ignore it and it just grows. It does take a very long season from when you put them in the ground to harvest time. I think it's about 120 days, so you do need a little bit extra time for it. But once you harvest them, they store so well. You do have to cure them in order for them to store long term, but they store so well. So it gets me through an entire season until the next harvest is ready. And you can reuse the sweet potatoes that you grew from the previous year to make slips in the spring. Before the sweet potatoes started sprawling all over the place, I had corn right behind me. Of course, that's out of season now, so I'll put up some video for you to see of what it looked like. But I will always grow for, what are we at? Number 4? We'll do 4. What I always grow is golden bantam sweet corn. I have a small area that I grow in, and most corn gets extraordinarily tall. 8, 9, 10 plus feet. Golden bantam sweet corn only gets about 6 feet. They are fast to mature, so they're usually mature before any of the major pests that stop our corn season halfway through the year become active. And personally, I think that they were one of the sweetest varieties that I've ever grown. So I will always grow golden bantam sweet corn. However, this year, I think I may have received the incorrect seeds, because my seed packet of golden bantam sweet corn, brand new to me this year, the stalks ended up getting to be about 12 feet. They were absolutely massive. They towered over this arch trellis, towered over the 6-foot fence. Were kind of a challenge to maintain, to be honest. And they weren't as sweet as the golden bantam sweet corn I usually grow is. So I'm thinking there may have been a mix-up in seed packaging. I'm not sure. It was still delicious, don't get me wrong. It wasn't what I usually grow. So I am open to other varieties. I may even try a different variety next year, but sweet corn will always be in my garden, at least for the spring. Okay, so I limited myself to 5 when I did the fruit, so I'm going to do that again for the vegetables, but one of them I'm going to group into a category. Number 5 on my list today is peppers. There are a couple peppers that I will always grow because, well, I love them. They're delicious and they have multi-purpose. But peppers will always be in my garden, specifically sweet peppers or mild peppers. I have nothing against spicy. It's just I do have limited space, and spicy peppers I personally wouldn't use enough to justify them taking up space. So one of my go-to peppers, sweet peppers, is the banana pepper, the sweet banana pepper. These are my all-time favorite stuffed. I grow these specifically for stuffing them every year with an Italian sausage and cheese mixture with some tomato sauce. Ooh, so good. So good. They also are great for pickling, although I have pickled them in the past and it took a while to go through one jar, so I don't pickle them too often. Another pepper I will always grow are Corbaci peppers. One, they look wild. They're long and skinny and they curl, and when they get to be about this color, looks like something had a snack. When they get to look about this color, they get very, very fruity, which adds a nice tang to whatever you put it in. You can cook with them, put them in salads for fresh eating. They are great both ways. Some of them get really wild in shape. They get that cool corkscrew. I grow them because they're delicious and they're a novelty. When they're yellow, they remind me very much so of a banana pepper, a sweet banana pepper. Nothing special. And obviously they are too skinny to stuff, but when they turn orange and red, oh, they're so good. They are so fruity and delicious. And the last pepper that will always be in my garden, Binho peppers. I believe the name originates from little beak, and you can kind of see why. They do look like a little bird's beak. And they start out yellow and are best harvested when they are fully this lovely orangey sunset color. And as of right now, the Binho pepper is the only pepper I grow in my garden that has any type of heat to it. It's mild. It's not very spicy at all. So it can be mixed into a lot of things really easy and add a little kick when you want it without being so overwhelming. But they have this wonderful, unique flavor to them. And honestly, I could snack on them all day. It's sweet, a little fruity with a hint of smokiness, and just a tiny, tiny bit of heat. Chef's kiss. I'm a big fan of growing things in my garden that I can snack on while I eat, and that's one of them. I would go over tomatoes this year, but we're limiting it to 5. And honestly, my tomato year was terrible. I have not had much luck in that department at all. Maybe we'll cover tomatoes next year if I actually can get them growing. Well, thanks for joining me for the second part of my garden must-haves. If you have anything that you grow that will always be in your garden no matter what, I would love to hear. I want to know what you like about it too. See if I can squeeze it into my garden, because I do try new things every year and remove any that I can take it or leave it to try something new. I have a few peppers that I'm doing that with now that they're okay. Nothing to write home about. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you may have seen some varieties that you've never seen before and get the chance to try them yourself. Until next time, bye.